technology doesn't influence, relationships really do. In that, it's reflecting back that a lot of transformations that I was involved with, they weren't blocked by, architectures or funding. They really were blocked by misalignment or missed expectations, the timing. And a huge one is lack of trust between IT and the business. That's where momentum and innovation quietly die. It's really, really important to focus on the people and those processes and falling in love with their problem and really take the time to build a relationship.
If you're ready to unlock momentum, you're in the right place. I'm Aaron Kopel, the Momentum Locksmith, and this is where CIOs come to grow. Welcome, everyone, to the new episode of Unlocking Momentum, and I'm here with a good friend, Jason Duigou. And so really excited to have him on the show. I've known him for probably a year and a half now or so through different networks here in Indianapolis and one of our clients from the past as well. And so really excited to have Jason on here to really be able to talk through some of his perspectives and share those with our audience here of other CIOs and other IT leaders. So JD, first off, just love to hear your background and sort of how you got to now and your role and some of those life experiences and things that help navigate and shape you. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me on. You appreciate it. Yeah, early on, I grew up with a single mom. She really struggled with some severe financial challenges. We had a lot of fragmented family dynamics. We had 3 kids in the family. So it really drove me to have a very, very strong work ethic and a goal to make life better for myself and those around me. So I was the first in my family to go to college and had to work my tail off, a couple jobs, waiting tables and whatever I could, and just looked at opportunities to make intentional choices. I kept the momentum steady, and I was just really focused on that long-term goal. So then early on in my career, I had a few people who really believed in me and gave me the opportunity to grow, improve, and excel. So throughout my career as a leader, I strived to do the same. I wanted to give back. So sometimes people just need to hear that you can believe in them and that they can do things. You can do hard things, is like I used to say. And so just showing somebody that little bit of hope and that there is a path for them it really encourages me to share that with others.
Yeah, that's great. One of our previous guests said that everyone that goes into IT leadership should have some kind of background in the service industry, whether it's like food service or something like that, really dealing with customers. And so I think a lot of what we're going to talk about today is, less of the tech side of IT and more about that kind of stuff, like the relationships and communication, and that aspect of it teaches us some lessons.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. With that, thinking back on that career path and all the ups and downs and challenges and twists and turns that we all go through, especially to get to that kind of level as a CIO, what's some advice you might give your younger self on that path?
Yeah, so I coach and mentor a lot of folks, and so I would tell myself, ask for help, seek out mentors. There's so many amazing people out there with rich experiences they're willing to share, but you just got to reach out. You got to do that networking. And that's why I'm so passionate where I'm at now. I want to give back via coach and mentoring, that community engagement. Especially, it doesn't matter where they're in their career. Some folks get stuck, mid-career or even in career, but there's a lot of these new career folks that they're not even sure how to present themselves in an interview, So just coming alongside them and doing a lot of informal mentoring is how I give back. So yeah, I would have told myself, dude, don't wait till your 30s or whatever. You should have done this right out of college. So.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, finding a mentor to coach. And I remember back when I was fresh out of college in the IT world, I didn't really think of that. It's not something that, really was brought up to my attention. But I also, if it had been, I would have thought, well, those guys are up there at the top. They're not willing to go coach and mentor a person like me fresh out of college, but they are, right?
Yep, they absolutely are. It's just having the conversations, and that's with even the Indianapolis group area. There's so many great communities and so many great folks that are willing to just give their time back and give you some advice. So I would encourage folks to do that.
Yeah, that's really great. I know a lot of folks as well that, they love mentoring people. They love just sharing some ideas. And, a lot of us getting into that coaching mindset as leaders and managers, but that mentoring is a little bit different. It's sort of a spin on that, but, it's really helping others understand how you got to where you are and what they can learn from that in order to help themselves. And I think almost every IT leader I know would be willing to have a coffee conversation or even get into a formal mentoring relationship probably as well. So, a lot of us in the world here in the IT space recognize that it's not just about the tech, and that's where a lot of, especially fresh out of college, people focus, right? So really getting into that, more personal relationship side and finding that leader and mentor that can really help you along your path. Super valuable. So awesome. All right. Well, great to sort of understand a bit about, where you came from and how you got to now. And so switching topics a little bit, getting into, some of the challenges and ups and downs and those kind of things that you've experienced. I'm kind of curious, to hear about a time when, you're sort of stuck and feeling like you were maybe not making progress and just, how did you break through? What did that look like? What was the result? Really curious to hear that story from you.
Yeah, this is a good one too. I was very reflective on this. Is I had a situation where early in my career as a CIO, I believe momentum came from delivery. My systems were stable. We shipped stuff with the metrics were all green. And that because of that, the influence would naturally follow. But really, I hit a wall and I said, even with successful execution, IT is still being brought in too late. There's business conversations being had and they're like, oh yeah, IT. It was kind of an after the fact. And it's a little frustrating when those decisions are already made and you're trying to kind of reverse engineer some of that. And that momentum really existed in the organization, but not with IT. So for me, the shift and the breakthrough came when I was realizing that trust had to come before the outcomes, not after them. So I stopped leading with solutions, which is tough for some IT folks. We are our heart's into it and we're hearing about some struggles and we're like, wow, I got a tool for that or I got a solution for that. And so when I coach teams in the past, I'm like, hey, don't lead with solutions. Like fall in love with the problem. Start leading with what the context of the business intent is, what some trade-offs could be, and then a lot of shared ownership. This isn't all about IT owning everything. So really, I just spent more time shaping that problem than defending what the answer should be. So
yeah, that's a really good approach. And how many times when you sort of took that step back and try to help shape the problem better, did you discover that that wasn't even the problem?
Exactly. Yeah. So folks can get, yes, I love these end-to-end business process, whether it's a swim lane diagram, et cetera, because you really like seeing all these problems, but you'll see it upstream. Hey, this is the really problem. We're just doing all these workarounds downstream. So, but that really changed everything for me. And IT moved upstream in the conversations. They happened earlier and often. Assumptions got challenged before they got hardened. A lot of folks get very fixed on where they're at. And so momentum for me really wasn't about louder and faster. It was about quieter, steadier, far more durable, so my big takeaway of all that, and you have a lot of this in your webinars and in your book, is that momentum doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from being invited in earlier. And I just love that.
Yeah. 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 That's a great observation. We see that a lot, right? Especially, like you said, taking that step back, really trying to help shape the problem and building that relationship with the business folks, really helping them start to see the root cause. And then, it gets the CIO out of and the whole IT organization out of that order taker mode, hopefully, right? Of just being part of the solution, really a business partner, right? And that's a lot of where we want to see CIOs sort of take that lead role, is helping the business make better decisions about what problems to even solve in the first place, rather than bringing a request and just saying, execute this, right? So,
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. That helps a lot of organizations just function better and work better and just have a better relationship between business and IT, and really, get that all working right, nice and smoothly. So that's great. Yeah. Great example there. Well, along with that, thinking about hot topics in the world, of course, there's this thing called AI I've heard of somewhere.
It might catch on.
It does everything for you, right? Just,
right.
You think it and it magically appears, and, all that stuff. So kind of curious for your take on how things are evolving with AI and what you're seeing out there in the world and where it's going.
Yeah, I think AI is fantastic, but I think we're massively overestimating what AI can fix and underestimating what leadership really still has to do. There's a lot of messiness with AI that is not going to go away. It's really being treated like a shortcut. Hey, I'm going to plug this in and I don't have to worry about maturing certain things, but it doesn't create clarity or strategy or trust. It's only going to amplify what already exists. So if the decision rights are unclear, then data is super messy. Leaders are really just avoiding the hard conversations, and AI just accelerates that chaos. It's kind of crazy. So why it really matters is the CIO or senior leaders right now isn't to hype AI. So don't jump on the bandwagon and go, oh my gosh, it's going to fix everything, or oh, it's going to create chaos. You really need to pace the organization by setting the guardrails. What are your rules, business rules, and not IT rules? You got to force disciplines. You got to protect the trust, because some people don't trust AI. Oh, it's going to do X, Y, and Z, right? Too much sci-fi films driving a lot of that. And sometimes the most strategic move is slowing down. And you got to look at that adoption long enough to get the foundation right and then hit the gas. Like when we were implementing Kopel a couple of years ago, the business was like, go, 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 go. And I'm like, hang on, we got to get our data right. Because when people search for stuff, right, you don't want the full HR system open up and finding things, right? Or even if you do have good rules about data, well, you don't want to find 3 versions of a job description. That's frustrating to people, or 3 versions of spreadsheets, right? So how do we get the master data management discipline in place so then you can have AI do its thing, hit that gas? So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I do hear a lot of people talking about, of course, the tech side of it, making sure you get your data straightened out and those kind of things, which is important as well. But to your point, really having that leadership perspective, setting the strategy, setting the guide rails, that's really a good first step. And those might change over time, of course, but you got to have some starting points. Everyone's sort of playing from the same sheet of music, right?
And you got to make it real for people, because one of the things we did was we set up use cases, like for even an executive assistant. Why do they care, right? And so, well, AI, this is again 2+ years ago. They were, hey, it can take all your meeting notes and it can assemble, and they're like, oh my gosh, that just saved me 20, 30, 40 minutes of a meeting. They're sitting there transcribing, right? So that's a big win for them. But we had to go through to supply chain and finance and the operations folks. How are they going to use AI every day to save 5 minutes or 20 minutes, right? So making it real for folks is a big deal. Just don't say, well, a lot of executives are feeling left out. They just turn around to their tech leader and go, implement AI. Why? Because we're missing out. Well, what problems are you, back to my statement, what problems are you trying to solve with this thing, right?
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. And it gives a really good opportunity for the whole IT organization to go out and be business partners, not just the CIO. Certainly that's, in my opinion, pretty crucial. We talk about that a lot in the book, of the CIO really becoming that true business leader, C-level business partner, being the mentor rather than the order taker. But I think it goes true for all, throughout IT, is trying to go out to, for example, like you said, supply chain, finance, and having those maybe mid-level or practitioner level IT folks go out and understand how that part of the business works, so that they can help them think through that use case and help them put something together that will really help them. And so I think that helps not just the IT folks understand the business, but vice versa. It helps the business understand how do they get better support, better solutions, by really partnering and collaborating, rather than just sort of treating it as like throw the request over the wall and into the black box and hope for the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it gives a great opportunity for both sides of that equation. I think that's kind of what I see as well, as like the tech part is interesting, but it's really about those relationships and becoming better leaders. And that helps the whole organization function better. And then AI is only going to enhance that once you get a really well-oiled, leadership run organization that's collaborative, and you got team-based structures and all that kind of stuff. It really becomes a powerful thing when you add AI on top of that. So exciting to see what happens and evolves with that. All right. Well, JD, great to talk about that. And there's one other topic I wanted to bring up that you had mentioned that I want to give some space to hit on here. And it's what you phrased as in your CIO field notes that you have out there for people to go find as well. We'll put a link in the show notes to that as well, so we can find it. But what you mentioned as the hidden operating system of the CIO role. So let's get into that.
Yeah, I've been really diving into this in 2026. I have a 3-minute read or 3-minute video, just little clips. But it is that, hey, what's that hidden operating system for leaders, especially a CIO? So I keep coming back to this idea that technology doesn't influence, relationships really do. In that, it's reflecting back that a lot of transformations that I was involved with, they weren't blocked by, architectures or funding. They really were blocked by misalignment or missed expectations, the timing. And a huge one is lack of trust between IT and the business. A lot of businesses that I've been involved in, they don't trust the IT. Why do they get involved? Well, because we have to, right? Then to roll their eyes. But that's where momentum and innovation quietly die. When you don't have those things lined up, your initiatives aren't going to succeed very much at all. So it's really, really important to focus on the people and those processes and falling in love with their problem and really take the time to build a relationship. And I always talked about when we were kicking off large transformational projects, and I would get in the weeds of, okay, well, why are we here? What are we trying to do? What's success look like? And they're like, can we just fill out the project plan? We got to spin up some servers. I'm like, hang on, how do we know we've reached success when we're at the end? That's important. But does the business understand why? Because a lot of times they just get this note, well, hey, we upgraded this system and now you got to do the new login. And they just go, here's IT impacting me again. But if you go back to say, well, we're doing this because it's more secure, or we're doing this because of this business driver, or the regulations have changed, so we're pivoting, right? Whatever that outcome is that the business wants, not IT necessarily, that's what we need to communicate. And it's all part of that organizational change management that is crucial to any project delivery. So yeah. That's that hidden OS I talk about for CIOs.
Yeah, that's a really good skill for CIOs, that relationship building and just being able to go out and reach out as a partner, right? And to your point earlier, really doing that, the earlier in the process you can do it, the more likely you are to get better results, because it's as they get further down the path and that mental project plan they have about when it should come out the other end, the later it is, they feel like, hey, we've already made these decisions where we just want this to be executed, so just go do it. But if you can get on the front end of that and have the conversation early, helps not just come up with better solutions or identify the root problem, but build that trust, to your point.
Totally.
Right? That you're in it for the right reasons with them, trying to help them make better decisions, not just trying to be a stumbling block or slow them down, right? It's really being upfront as a partner with them early stage to really help them think better. So
yeah, and it takes patience, because I was coaching a person on my team at one point, and their complaint was, we've told the business 6 or 7 times already. And I'm like, well, you have to put it in their language, right? Because all they heard was, I want this cool thing. And you started getting into the cybersecurity risk, right? I said, so they're hearing a no, and you need to lead with, okay, I'm going to follow up the problem. In order to make this happen, here's the trade-offs and the pros and cons. And why cyber matters is because risk mitigation, right? And our tolerance to risk. And so it really is an art form to really broker those relationships. So next time you have that conversation, it's a little less resistant. And they're like, okay, I trusted what you did last time and it worked out okay. Now I'm going to sit in the conversation. Now we'll work through it together. But it does take some times and some patience to do that.
Yeah, that brings up a really good point too. We often talk about, we need to go reach out to them, and it's almost like this is the first time. And, but it's really important to point out that there's a first time, but then there's every time after that as well. And you're building trust from the start and building more trust as you go, every time you go engage with them and help them work through it and help try to define that solution for them and be more collaborative, right? So it's just a constant trust building that can keep going on forever. It's not just that one time you reach out to them, but you're really just building that over the course of time. And as you bring that up, it just makes me, think about some of the other CIOs I've been working with, and those that have been in the role for a long time, like have really built up a lot of credibility, and the opportunities they have because of that are just so big compared to others, because they have that sort of built trust over the years that now they can go back and say, hey, you know what? I really need you guys to listen to me on this point. And they will listen because they understand that, this person is coming from a place of collaboration and understands the business context well enough that they can point out these things that we really need to pay attention to and make hard decisions about. So,
exactly.
Yeah, really good point. Very good. Well, JD, you covered a lot of good things here, and a lot of it comes back to, of course, trust building, leadership, communication, partnering with your business, right? Obviously, we take the tech part of the IT organization of the CIO kind of for granted, but that's important too, right? Can't leave that out, because that's kind of the core of it. But when it comes down to it, really being effective in the role comes down to all these other soft skill kind of things as well, right? So is there anything that you'd like to share in terms of other things you could point people to, podcasts, books, things like that you'd like to point people to?
Yeah, absolutely. I really like a book called Well Said by Darlene Price. And I got to meet her about a decade ago. And it's really around honing your skills for different audiences, whether you're presenting to the board of directors or C-suite, et cetera, or, it just helps with all kinds of communications. She had a lot of speech impediments when she was young, and how you really tailor messages. For example, it's like you don't go in with a slide deck to a C-suite conversation. You go in with your main slide and maybe two additionals, and that's it. If you have any more than 3 and you can't talk to it with just 3, then that's the wrong thing. But love to read. It's a really, really good book. And then second, of course, is my newsletter on LinkedIn, on YouTube, et cetera. And so it's just called the CIO Field Notes. And really it's about a 3-minute read, 3-minute video, just talking about, hey, the insights over 25 plus years of being in leadership. And a lot of great feedback already on it, but I'm just trying to share, and I love to hear people. I challenge them with a question at the end. Love to hear back from folks about whether they agree, disagree, or what they found as well. It's we can learn from each other.
Yeah, that's great. And the right attention span as well, 3 minutes, right?
Right. Back to that prior comment. People are busy these days. And so I'm just trying to give them little nuggets and then move on.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, CIO Field Notes and by Darlene Price, the book Well Said. So we'll add those to the show notes as well so people can find those easily. But that sounds great. I hadn't heard of the Well Said book, so I'm going to check that out. So,
yeah, great one.
Fantastic. All right. Well, with that, JD, it's really great to have you on the show, and really love to hear your insights here. And I'm sure people will want to get in touch with you. So what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can easily ping me on LinkedIn, and then if they want to grab coffee or connect with me, we can do that as well.
Yeah, that's great. I know you're one of the folks, one of those outgoing IT folks who's out there. Of course, all the networking events, there's always pictures from JD out there. So all the great ones do that, I think, just making it memorable when they're out there and helping others see those that weren't so thoughtful to take a picture. But he'll also include a lot of people in those pictures. I ended up in one or two the last couple of years in some of the CIO and networking events we've been to. So appreciate that always. Seeing those pictures afterward, I'm like, oh yeah, I wish I would have taken a picture, but JD's always there to save the day for me and have a memorable picture of an event we were at or a speaker that we saw, things like that. So it's fantastic. So
well,
yeah, I always appreciate
I'd like to promote what you have going on. You and your team are doing some great things. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Well, yeah, and I know one other thing I want to mention, give you a big thank you for as well with the Indiana CIO Network. JD is a great contributor there, but also decided to put together a book club for the group, which was fantastic. And I was honored to be the first book selected. And so JD forced some people to sit down and read my book. And it was
good. It was good. Yeah, we have another one coming up this spring. So they'll be starting in March. And then we'll do probably a summer and another fall one. So if you're interested, again, ping me online. Again, you don't have to see anything title. If you're a leader of any kind, you want to check it out. It's a great way to network and connect with some folks.
Yeah, it's really good. And I think the way you run that as well was really, really helpful, sort of giving a structure to it and sort of an outline for people to be able to think through what they read and get some key nuggets out of it and then talk about those as a group, right? So and it's pretty quick too. I think it was only like 30 minutes, but it felt like we got a ton out of it in that quick 30 minutes.
Yeah, we do 3 months, 30 minutes each month, and we cover a whole book. So every week or trying to do a whole book and come to one event, got some feedback from folks. And so this cadence feels really good to folks and they can handle it.
Yeah, chopping the book up into 3 parts, 30 minutes each, and then really getting some good structure to it to be able to talk about it effectively and efficiently for our IT folks. So that's a nice thing. Yeah, so really appreciate that. That was great. It's kind of fun from my side of it as the author to hear people talking about the book and what they took away from it. I'm like, yes, that was a good key point. So I'm glad that came across. That's nice.
Yeah, we appreciate your participations.
Yeah, that's great. So JD, great conversation. Love all the points we hit on here so far, but as you know, at the end, we get into some rapid fire questions here. And so I want to jump into those with you. So first one is about your passion. What's your biggest passion outside of work?
Since I'm so focused on tech at work and leadership, I actually love creating art, mixed media art projects. I do gaming and just building things with my hand. It's basically how I can reset and step away.
Very nice. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So the next one, rapid fire question is, if you could have a coffee with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why? And I guess we had one guest that didn't choose one of those options. They chose a fictional character. So that can be an option too.
Actually, I thought about this. It was a great question. So I'd have to say Peter Drucker. And the reason why is because I care about management leadership as a craft more than just the tech part. And so he was underpinning all the modern governance and leadership type of thing. And so I have a quote here. He said, most of what we call technology problems are actually management problems. And I still firmly believe that it's all about the people and the processes even before you get into the tech. So yeah, it would be a great conversation.
Yeah. It's fun. There's, so many quotes from him all over the place, and that it'd be great to actually sit down and have a chat with him for an hour over coffee.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Brilliant guy. Yeah. Very cool. All right. And then last, the rapid fire questions. What do you want to be remembered for? Sort of that, what's going to be on your tombstone question?
So I'd like to think it's something like, hey, he helped people move forward with clarity, trust, and intention. Something about helping them if they were stuck to get to the next place.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a lot of, we hear from IT leaders, especially, which is great. It's less about the technology and helping people from a coaching, mentoring, helping them break through and just sort of, really accomplishing what they can sort of up to their full potential. Yes. So yeah, that's a big part of what I hear from a lot of leaders, which is great. So yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, JD.
Thank you.
As we wrap things up here, just want to encourage everyone to follow the show so you can hear about the next episode coming up. Of course, leave a rating or review. That's always helpful for us. And then follow us on social media from the podcast, the book, as well as Project Brilliant. Thanks for listening, everyone, and really appreciate it and hope to see you again next time. Thanks for tuning in to Unlocking Momentum. If today's conversation sparked ideas or gave you a new way to think about leadership, check out our past episodes and resources. Don't forget to follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you'd like to connect with me, Aaron Kopel, the Momentum Locksmith, you'll find the link in the show notes.